Gray is here on the Blaze Radio Network.
Thanks for being with us. 888-900-3393. Pat Unleashed on Twitter and Instagram. Check us out there. And of course, Threads. Everybody knows. That one goes without saying, right? Because people spend so much time on Threads, you don't even need to mention it anymore. It's great. So...
Yeah.
So is who's going to bring up the mandatory question? Is it even functioning? Is there such a thing still?
Like how would you get there? Would you do threads.com/
You guys keep joking around, but yesterday we got 37 new Thread followers.
37?
37.
That's because
new.
they heard us mocking it.
Wow.
So we
That's hard to believe, though. That's great.
Hold on. Honestly, how do you get there? I'm typing in
an app.
Yeah, but you can get there through a website, right?
No.
You can get there through twitter.com/ whatever.
Twitter's not an app.
Huh. Okay.
Y'all go have fun at Threads. Live it up
really,
over there.
That's not true, is it? Twitter's not a... X.
Yeah.
You're talking about X. Okay.
You seriously going to give this guy...
I know. I shouldn't have given it oxygen. I apologize. All right. Elon Musk is in Israel. I guess to speak about the war with Hamas. He's been getting a lot of flack lately, I've seen, for supposedly being anti-Semitic.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe this is part of his calculation for going over there.
Yeah, I wonder too.
But, I mean, and it's completely unfair the way that they've gone after him for, quote, anti-Semitism because what did he quote tweeted? Or did he quote X, Chris? Some post. But anyhow... I don't think that's honestly why he's over there because he's wanting to do some good.
Yeah, and here he is.
It was certainly been a day, I would say an emotionally difficult day to see the places where people were murdered. I just did a talk with the Prime Minister, and I think obviously there are three things that need to happen in the Gaza situation. I mean, there's no choice but to kill those who insist on murdering civilians. There's no choice. They're not going to change their mind. And then the second thing is to change the education so that a new generation of murderers is not trained to be murderers. And then the third thing, which is also very important, is to try to build prosperity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, look at Gaza. Every time you see it, I mean, even before the bombing began, look at it.
Yeah, and that mindset that he talks about, the education. I mean, that's not just unique to Gaza, unfortunately, and Palestinians. We played the clip from Canada yesterday of the kid, was he 9 years old, talking about
the Intifada.
Yeah,
the Intifada revolution.
So it
starts at an early age
beyond those borders. But see, now he's getting flack for that very controversial line that you just heard him utter, which was, you have to kill people that just want to kill civilians. Like, that is the hateful thing now. So,
no, jeez. Ugh, it's agonizing. I mean, Hamas is pure evil incarnate. Just absolute evil. And if you don't believe that after listening to that reporter from the BBC yesterday, who had watched the movie that they put out about, it's a documentary that they put together showing the atrocities committed by Hamas. So if after hearing and viewing that and hearing and listening to what other people have said, what some of the survivors have said about what happened in Israel on October 7th, man, if you're not moved by any of that, if you're still free Palestine from the river to the sea, something's wrong with you. Something's wrong as a human being. I guess Hamas is telling the hostages to keep waving at him.
Oh, geez.
So it looks like they had it was party time the last 3 weeks.
Yep.
It was just a good time.
6 weeks.
To be had by all. Yeah, that's right. 6 weeks. And here's somebody talking about it.
Bye now. Goodbye. Wake up. Wake.
Wave.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. There they are. Bye-bye. See what a great time they had. waving to their captors.
Unbelievable.
You know, so captors are armed, probably told them, wave to us or we'll shoot you dead.
Or we'll shoot whoever in your family is still back here.
Right.
What was I reading? What was I reading, you guys? Here we go. This I call her Tokyo Rose of Hamas, the Syrian girl on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Here's what she says. This is a tweet from a couple hours ago. Hamas has released another 4 more civilian detainees in exchange for women and children held by Israel. That's cute. That's
there's no children being
spin in of itself. And then she goes, once again, they all smile and wave at Hamas, much to the chagrin of the Zionist entity.
It reminds me of the captives of the Vietnamese and the North Koreans back in those wars, and how, they talked about how, they told you on film that they're being treated really well. They're being fed exceptionally well. They told you that America was the aggressor here and they were the bad guys. Yeah. Under duress, of course. Just a bit of duress. Torture. Beatings, threats. Jeez. It's not hard to figure this one out. Noodle it out. As I keep saying, learn one thing about this situation. Learn one thing about it, and you were not going to be a Palestinian Hamas supporter.
Yeah, and the same thing applies for Elon Musk. I mean, it's clear that the opposition to him is just to cripple his business. It has nothing to do with any, quote, anti-Semitism. In fact, he was meeting with families yesterday, and he put on the dog tag, right, of one of the hostages, and he told the guy's dad that he was going to wear that until he came home, until the hostages were returned. And I thought that Citizens Free Press made a good point. Yeah, but this is the guy who's the anti-Semite telling Jewish parents, "Yeah, I'm going to wear your kid's dog tag until he comes home." I mean, the intellectual dishonesty all through this is just something to behold.
Mm-hmm. Then our wonderful leader, who's you might have noticed the people love him. The polls are just glowing with love for this man because he's so great. He's just so great. He wishes he could hug a little girl, and
the little 4-year-old who got released.
Little 4-year-old wants to hug.
Okay.
Thank you very much, but thank God she's home. The little, I just can't imagine the enjoyment and I wish I were there to hold her.
Ooh. Oh boy, that's creepy.
She's been through enough, bro.
Yeah.
He can't even sound sincere.
I know.
About
I wish I was there.
Yeah.
To hold her. It'd be great.
I bet
right
you do.
Now, yeah.
I bet you do.
I'd smell her hair.
We know.
And stuff.
We know, Joe. Okay.
Just a couple sniffs.
No.
Then a lady asked some questions about the 4-year-old American who was released.
This is fascinating.
Okay. Something's wrong. This is Abigail Moore Eden, and she was the 4-year-old that was taken hostage by Hamas from Israel. She's the Israeli American. She was the youngest hostage, I believe, that they had. She is now free and back with her family in Israel. The girl went through a harrowing ordeal, according to her aunt, whose name is Liz Hirsch Netafali. Said that her parents were killed in the home, and Abigail's father was holding her when Hamas came in and shot him, and she crawled out from under him, and she was covered in blood, and that's when she was kidnapped. Does the name Liz Hirsch Netafali sound familiar? It did to news anchor Bianca from Newsmax. Bianca had learned and then reported that Abigail's great aunt is one of the more prominent buyers of Hunter Biden's art. Not money laundering at all. It's legitimate art. So good too. It's so good. Who wouldn't spend $1 bajillion on it? It's so good. Absolutely not money laundering. Back in July, the House of Representatives has demanded the documents from Hunter Biden's art buyer Elizabeth Netafali. Naftali. Am I getting that right? Is that way wrong?
It's Naftali.
Because they wanted to see it, because it's not money laundering at all. Just like this is absolutely a coincidence. It's an absolute coincidence that the youngest hostage that Hamas had is the great niece of the person who bought Hunter Biden's art. It's just a coincidence. It's a small world.
Huh. I mean, that's very, very interesting.
I mean, what's the implication, though? What are you implying there?
I don't know. Some connection with
the
Biden
Hamas?
family. I have no idea.
Hamas and the Bidens are connected.
It's a small world, man.
It is a small world after all.
I think that's. Oh, by the way,
go to Disney and that'll go through your head how small this world is.
Speaking of
over and over and over for years.
Some guy jumped into the Small World ride at Disneyland. I think it was yesterday, maybe it was over the weekend, completely naked. So it's a
really?
Small world.
That's a weird world too.
All.
That's creepy. That's kind of creepy.
But in honesty, though, the ride needs a little something
pizzazz.
More. Yeah,
it's a dumb ride. I'll give you that.
So
I don't think I liked it when I was 9 years old when I went to Disney for the first time. It's like, what is this about? So you see these little
parts
things
of the world, man,
singing.
Yeah,
and they're all dressed differently.
Yeah,
ooh, exciting! What an exciting ride!
See, look, there's a Scandinavian representatives there.
Yeah.
Look, now we're in South America. That's pretty
look,
cool.
now it's India.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. That was
cool.
Riveting.
Honestly, it's just a great place for air conditioning.
Yes, that is true.
Like the kids want to ride it, and you're like, okay, whatever, man. It is 95 and humid out here.
I think that's why I loved Pirates of the Caribbean so much when I was a kid, because it was
air conditioning,
1,000 degrees, and I wasn't used to it coming from Montana. And all I wanted to do was get into a place that was cooler. And Pirates of the Caribbean filled that bill. All right. John Kirby was asked about more Americans being released by Hamas.
Oh, okay.
When's that going to happen?
Let's see.
How many are there? Let's get some answers here.
All right.
Any possibility that Americans will be among the 20 that we release over the next few days?
Well, we certainly hope so. I mean, we're going to watch this very, very closely. We're certainly hoping that another batch of hostages gets released today as part of the fourth and final day of the original agreement. We're going to be watching closely to see if any Americans are in that group. As it has come out over the last 3 days, we don't really know until you get into the end game who's going to be actually on that list, and then even then you got to watch closely to seeing if who's on the list is the folks that actually come out. So we're watching and
we're watching and we're hoping. And so,
praying.
This is all despite the fact that Joe Biden did such a great job negotiating the release. He didn't pin down all the details, of course.
This just shows that we have no say in this. We are literally standing at a candy machine, putting a quarter in and be like, I don't know, let's see what comes out.
The most powerful and important nation the world has ever known.
No Americans in this batch.
We don't really know when that's going to happen or if it's going to happen. We're just hoping. We're hoping they're going to be nice and release some of them. I don't know. We don't have any of that information, but gosh, we're sure hoping. What?
So the same guy
gotten to this point
who praised Joe Biden a few days ago for getting hostages released now has no idea when or if Americans are going to be released. It's just luck of the draw, yo. I don't know.
But he must know how many Americans are hostage.
He's got to know, right? They're on
he
top
was
of
asked
this.
about that yesterday, so we're about to get that answer here.
Yeah.
John, how many Americans are still being held hostage, and do you have proof of life?
We think the number is, well, it's less than 10, probably in the neighborhood of, about 8 to 9.
About 8 to 9, less than 10.
But we don't necessarily
more
have
than 3.
firm, solid information on each and every one of them.
Oh, okay. Oh, God. I heard it was 20 in the beginning, right? Wasn't that the number we were given?
Right.
It was 20.
Yeah.
Does that mean that 10 or 11 of them were killed?
Boy, I don't know.
Or they just didn't know? I mean, what is it these people do know? Absolutely nothing.
Now, but before you play the next John Kirby clip, just remember how much of your money has gone to Ukraine with no conditions. It's just like, here's a check. You fill in the numbers there.
No oversight whatsoever. No supervision.
Good. Yep.
And you just send the money.
And before that check that we FedExed overnight to Kiev, before it gets there, we're writing actually you another one. So don't worry if this one isn't big enough. We got another one coming. Just stand down. So now in that context, listen to this answer to this question about sending money to Israel.
Thank you, Admiral. A few things here. The president called conditional aid for Israel a worthwhile thought. Is he actually considering conditioning aid or not?
What he also said right after acknowledging that it was a worthwhile thought, was that the approach he has chosen to take so far has produced results and outcomes. Many of them I just walked you through in my opening statement. So the approach that we're taking with Israel, and quite frankly with our partners in the region, is working. It's getting aid into people that need it. It's getting a pause in the fighting. It's getting hostages out. It's getting Americans out. And quite frankly, we continue to urge and will continue to urge the Israelis, as they conduct military operations, to do so with the utmost care for innocent civilian life.
The Democrats in his party who say we need to start conditioning aid going forward, what would he say?
I think he would say exactly what he said to y'all yesterday when he got asked this question. It's a worthwhile thought, but the approach that I'm taking now is working. The approach that we're taking now is working. It's getting results.
Yeah, and so we're going to continue with that approach because it's so good.
Amazing.
Yeah, it is.
In other words, send money to Ukraine. Don't tell Ukraine you be careful about where you blow stuff up. You might kill Russian civilians. But yet you have a war that was started on the premise of killing Israeli civilians, and then to see how the Palestinians reacted with such glee at this news, in fact, are now currently holding some of these hostages themselves. But you better be, so help me, you better protect those lives. You better make sure where you're bombing, even though the weapons caches are in hospitals and schools, be very, very careful, or maybe you won't get all that aid we promised you, Israel. It's a bizarro world. It makes no sense.
These are the worst people who've ever governed this country, though. So it fits right in with their MO, and it isn't surprising. This is just who they are and what they do. They're the worst. You can't count on them for anything. I mean, they don't even know how many hostages they have. How is that possible? How do you... Again... with the most resources of anybody ever, and supposedly some of the best intelligence on earth, we don't know how many Americans are in the hands of Hamas. We don't even know. It's hard to believe. It really is hard to believe. And then you're going to start attaching conditions. Yeah, if we'll give them some money as long as they do what we tell them to do. Why aren't those conditions attached to Ukraine at all? Why isn't there oversight in Ukraine at all? And we all know the answer. It's because money's being laundered back to the administration and the Biden family. That's why. And they don't want any oversight of that. They don't want that discovered by people. All right, let me take a minute and tell you about Beam. Beam Dream. Sleep is the foundation of our mental and physical health, of course, and our performance in our daily lives. Having a consistent nighttime routine is non-negotiable. And today, because you're a listener to the show, you get a special discount on Beam's Dream Powder, their best-selling healthy hot cocoa for sleep with no added sugar. It's now available in delicious seasonal flavors like cinnamon, cocoa, sea salt caramel, and white chocolate peppermint. Better sleep has never tasted better. A recent clinical study revealed Dream helped 93% of users wake up feeling more refreshed because they got a good night's sleep. And 93% reported that Dream helped them get a more restful night's sleep. Just mix Beam Dream into hot water or milk, stir or froth, and enjoy before you go to bed. If you want to try Beam's best-selling Dream Powder, take advantage of their biggest sale of the year and get up to 50% off for a limited time when you go to shopbeam.com/Pat. The discount is auto-applied at checkout, no code necessary. That's shopbeam, shopbeam.com/Pat to get up to 50% off.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas, George! Merry Christmas, George! Merry Christmas, movie house! Merry Christmas, Emporium! Merry Christmas, you wonderful building and loan!
Pat Gray Unleashed.
You know what? It's a joy to just go through the spokespeople for this White House on a, I don't know if we do it every day, but certainly a weekly basis. Isn't it a joy to just kind of get in touch with them every single day and, you know, get that positive vibe about what a great job they're doing? I mean, it's not like we can't see it for ourselves because it's there in front of us every single day.
Yeah. And I have a feeling you want to play these KJP clips. Chris just informed me that we have, is that Jake Sullivan? Since we're still talking about the hostages and stuff, should we play clip 21 here? I haven't heard this. This might be fun. So
what is it?
That's Jake Sullivan talking about hostage negotiations.
Oh, okay.
Let's see what we got here, Joe. 21.
Jake, do you have any concern that the U.S. so publicly negotiating a hostage release sends a message that Americans are willing to negotiate with terrorists, even if indirectly, and that could ultimately put the lives of other Americans at risk on the world stage?
When the United States had one policy or another, people were taking Americans hostage. So from our perspective, this isn't about precedent. It isn't about policy. It's about a simple principle. If there's an American citizen being held overseas, we are going to do everything in our power, using diplomacy, using influence, using leverage, to be able to get those people home safely to their families. That is the commitment of President Biden.
Wow. Powerful. Powerful. Hard to argue with, isn't it? Because, man, these people know what they're doing, and they're doing it.
Like Kirby said, you don't know till you get that list.
Right.
I mean, what am I supposed to do up here?
I mean, we're totally at their mercy. What are we supposed to do? We don't know how many people are there. We don't know where they are. We don't know what's happened to them. We don't even know if they're alive or dead. One of the parts of the question you might have noticed was, do we have proof of life? You didn't even answer that because the answer is probably no. Yeah, we don't have any proof that they're still alive. Yeah, it's crazy. And how, again, I would love to know how the number went from 20 to 8 or 9.
Yeah,
how'd that happen?
Yeah,
and why? Huh. Does that mean we already got 11 of them back? Does it mean that 11 of them were killed? These are things we should know. And, you know, I heard that we had both Delta Force and Navy SEALs in the area. They should have been sent in the second this happened. The minute it happened. Find them, extract them safely, kill the terrorists who had them.
But if you remember, Pat, the White House doxed all the commandos with that stupid picture when Joe Biden went to visit.
That's right.
So leave it up to them to
because they can't do anything right. Yeah.
And we'll go back to their spokespeople being...
Oh, I'm sure that was a complete accident.
Yes.
I'm sure, yeah.
So KJP was asked, this is an important question. I mean, forget about the hostages and the war in the Middle East and the war in Ukraine and the funding and the collapsing economy. Does Joe Biden shop online? That's what we all inquiring minds.
What's enchanted you the most about shopping online?
Right. Remember that question for Obama.
The supply chain announcements today are rooted in all the issues that came up back in 2020, 2021, when a lot of it was rooted in shipping and holiday shopping and whatnot. I'm curious, does the president or first lady do any online shopping? No, seriously, have they had any personal experience with the frustrations that American consumers across the country felt in recent years?
So, agree. There's been some frustrations that the American consumers have felt recently, which is why we took those actions. You just listed them out, and they've been beneficial. I've talked about the containers where we were 2 years ago, where 100 containers were declined, and now we're at 8. Right? I talked about October 2021, as you just mentioned, to October 23, and how
but does
supply
he
chain
shop
pressures,
online? She can't even give a straight answer to this.
They hurt the economy, which is why the president continues
yes
to make these announcements. This is what you're going to hear from the president at 2 o'clock.
Online.
Look, I
Not
can't
he
speak
himself,
to
but his
the
people.
president or the first lady's
shopping
strategy, how they go about it, but they understand what Americans are feeling.
I can't take
it.
I don't want to hear
why we
more
keep talking.
from her. I mean,
what has surprised you the most, enchanted you the most about serving in this office, humbled you the most, and troubled you the most?
Wow, that was another tough question for Barack Obama. So they've got a long line, a long history of asking really penetrating questions.
Yeah, I don't know who the reporter was. I don't know what outlet he represents. I have no idea what his angle is. I wonder if he was trying to catch like almost a George Bush Sr. moment, with the checkout scanner type thing.
Maybe that he's so out of touch or he's so old that he's never shopped online.
But I contend if I handed my phone to Joe Biden First of all, no telling what he would try to download. But I would open up Amazon for him. I would give him a head start. I'd say, order something. Order anything you want. Just order something. Let's see what happens. He couldn't do it.
No way.
He'd be like, what's a jungle Amazon? What is that all?
What is this? How do I order things on a phone?
What do you call this thing? Fancy electric brick? What do you got here?
Is this that thing that came through the rings of Saturn? Did this come from space?
Hold on a second. Hold on. ADD moment.
Uh-huh.
Apple used to have the most compelling commercials ever.
Sure did.
They are such garbage now.
They're lost right now.
They've got like you said, the phone comes from outer space with the sound. And then now you've got this, all I do is work. And it's the most annoying song ever. What has happened to Apple ads?
I don't know.
They got a new agency that just sucks?
Because they had it down for a while.
Yeah.
They had it down.
I look forward to them.
They weren't doing the here's what you buy. It's here's why you want to own it. Here's why you have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Not the same anymore. Just not the same. But KJP, I love this.
Uh-oh, what?
Here's what she says about the economy and why it's bad right now.
Okay.
But why do you think it is that when you say the economy is improving and President Biden says the economy is improving, that a majority of Americans outside of this building are not buying it?
So here's the thing.
When
we walked into this administration,
here it is. Yeah.
The economy was on a tailspin. That is the fact.
That's a fact.
She knows it's such a lie she can't even get it out of her mouth.
But wait, you can't have it both ways. Either you've fixed the economy and it's really going well right now with Bidenomics, or the economy is bad because of Trump. It can't be both. I mean, you've had 2.5 going on 3 years now to fix the economy, to do something about it, to make it a better experience for all Americans. You're going to now, at this point, when you're telling us that our lives are great, you're going to now say it was in a tailspin? What? I mean, come on.
Yeah, I mean, and the numbers don't lie, right? We've learned on this program. Put up the graphic of credit card debt in America here during the Biden presidency, especially.
Yeah, for the first time in history, we've got over $1 trillion of consumer credit card debt. $1 trillion. Wow. Congratulations, Americans.
Wow.
Doing really well.
I mean, look at that. When this guy took office, we were south of 800 billion. Is that what we're at there? I can't see.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but it was less, a lot less.
Good grief!
But they have it both ways. These Marxists play both sides of every stinking issue. Climate change, it's catastrophic until someone points out that CO2 levels are actually down significantly. Then they claim all their efforts are working. It worked. Well, wait, it can't be catastrophic meltdown and it's way better than it's ever been. How is that possible? The border, they inherited a disaster from Donald Trump. But the border now to them is secure. So which is it? Was it a disaster? I guess it was a disaster, and they fixed it. And that's why only 2.4 million people crossed the border that we know of last year, which was the highest of all time. So it's the highest of all time on one hand. On the other hand, the border is secure. Huh. Weird. I mean, listen to these people and what they... Well, and they do get away with it because the press lets them. The media allows it. I mean, if the only person who's going to push back against them is Peter Doocy, then, we're lost. We're lost. That's a battle we just can't win. When it's 50-1 in that White House press room every single day, it's at least 50-1. Crazy. But congratulations on being able to have it both ways on every single issue. That's what makes being a Democrat and a progressive so great.
Hour in the D, baby.
Yep. About an hour from now, we're going to talk to Hilary Kennedy about some fascinating topics. We'll get that.
Gray Unleashed.
We just got so much to get to today. It's going to be very difficult. It's like a Sophie's Choice again. But we got some tweets here. Urban Camper tweets. Urban Camper. Give it 2 weeks, and Democrats will be wanting to redirect aid for Israel to Ukraine. Many of them already do. Baker Jen, thank you so very much for getting the song Wishin' and Hopin' by Dusty Springfield stuck in my head.
Oh, you picked up on that, did you?
You're welcome. And you're welcome. Holy smokes, 1776. There's an awful lot of ceasefire talk when it comes to Israel. Where's all the ceasefire talk when it comes to Ukraine? What a great question.
Yeah.
Must be easier to wash money through Ukraine. Interesting.
Yeah. Isn't that, though? It's almost been 2 years there.
Yeah. And nobody's screaming, how about a ceasefire? And where's all the placards at these rallies for Ukraine? How about a ceasefire? Ceasefire! Why are you killing people? It's amazing. Completely different standard. Paco D, the administration doesn't know how many Americans are held hostage because all our intelligence assets are spying on American citizens. Oh, okay. Yeah, that is a fact. We've got a clip, in fact, later on that sort of proves that point. We'll get to that later. Kim Miola, Biden's negotiation skills are excellent. Remember the great deal he made when we got a basketball player and they gave them the Lord of Death? Come on, man. Come on, man. From the Pickled Squirrel. That's so cute. The White House thinks that we have money to shop online.
Right.
And Rowdy Introvert, the online shopping question asked at the White House is the epitome of a first world question. Indeed it is. Yes. And that's something we forget sometimes is that life is so good in this country, even when things are going really badly, that those are the things that many people are still focused on. Does the president shop online? Or does he ever get out, to a nice restaurant? Is he able to, I don't know, what's the thing that enchants him the most in his office?
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
And little girls.
He does seem enchanted by that. Sniffing women and girls is another thing.
More than sniffing.
Not a joke. That's not a joke. You're right.
Trains. He's
trains.
He's a fan of trains.
He sure is.
Oh my gosh!
Bless
you know what?
his heart.
His ideal Christmas morning is to have a little choo-choo train set, and it's bringing an ice cream cone on it. And then when he looks over, he sees it's a little prepubescent girl running the controls.
Oh my gosh, he'd explode.
That is Joe Biden's.
He'd absolutely burst, either burst into flame or explode. One of the two.
That's his Christmas wish list.
So KJP was asked if it's time for the Biden administration to change strategy
because they
with their messaging, since Americans don't approve of what this president is doing in any way, shape, or form. He's got the worst poll numbers of all time, well, for him. And it's getting to all-time records, actually. But here's what she had to say about that.
And I suspect if we polled the room, many of us will probably ask some version of the following question. Okay. Given the president's sagging poll numbers and the fact that he is currently placing behind any Republican opponent,
she's got a place in her book for that answer.
Change in strategy or staffing going forward in reflection of those numbers to continue to show him underwater?
No. No, that was it.
Yeah, we're done.
Oh, okay.
We're not changing anything. We're Marxists. You kidding me? We got a plan and we're putting it in place.
That's the question to which we get the direct answer. No. The end.
And I'll tell you why that was so easy for her to answer, because when he started asking the question, she's looking in her book. She's like, "Do I have a section of good things for Joe?"
No, because there's no such thing as good things for Joe or about Joe or around him, near him, whatever the question may be. There's just none. So
cool.
Yeah, that was an easy question. Congratulations.
Full speed ahead and their little Marxist overthrow of the nation. We got a year left of this, I hope. Not a moment more.
Holy cow. I mean, both sides are right about one thing. If our person doesn't win, country's over.
Yeah, so we're hoping and wishing and praying and something, thinking
and stepping and sitting and loving and stuff. Okay. Biden also, Joe Biden wants you to know that your Thanksgiving dinner cost was down this year.
Was
thanks
it?
to
Oh,
him.
shut up.
Yeah.
Old man.
In fact, as a share of earnings this Thanksgiving, dinner was the fourth cheapest ever on record. I want you all to know that.
Fourth cheapest on record, Pat.
I look at all the press, look at
that. Yeah. Right?
Press is particularly excited about that, I can see.
Yeah, they're excited about that. It was only $61.25 or something. We talked about it last week on Glenn's show. But it was
fourth cheapest ever.
$64 the year before. But when Biden took office under Trump, it was something like, I don't know, 40, 50, I forget the exact number. Much less.
Really?
Much
But the old
less.
man who never lies just told me.
Right, he just told you.
Fourth cheapest ever.
Fourth cheapest ever, which is bull crap. I mean, you know what was down? The cost of the actual turkey was down quite a bit. Everything else, almost everything else, was way up. But the biggest expense is going to be the turkey because you're trying to feed, 10 people or 12 people or whatever.
Yeah, I'm looking at some numbers here. Since Biden took office, airfare is up 21%.
Okay.
Price of gas is up 86 cents a gallon.
86 since he took office.
Since he took office.
But that's not at his record high.
No,
so
we know this to be true.
They actually take victory laps on that.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Pathetic.
Your Thanksgiving dinner was 25% higher since he took office.
Yeah, it's still 25% higher. Yeah. God, golly. It's unbelievable, frankly. And, for a person who owns a small business and actually has to pay for the things that go into making cookies, I can tell you that those prices are not down. When Biden took office, we've been doing the cookie company since about then. It's been 3 years. And so the first year we started buying, bulk amounts of butter. It was, I don't know, $70 a case. So it comes in these big cases. And now it's $150 something. I think it went up to $150. It's come down to $140.
Oh, wow.
So it is double what we used to pay.
God. Yeah, and look at this.
Double for butter. There is butter that goes into your cookies if you're ordering them from us. So
how much butter?
A little bit.
$70 worth of butter?
Yeah, $70.
Chris just sent me a list of Thanksgiving prices. So, like the 4-pound ham is up since Joe took office, 97% higher.
97. That's okay. So you've doubled the price of ham.
I got a lot of these. 16-pound turkey up 41% from when he took office,
but down from last year.
Okay. Pumpkin pie mix is up 31%.
All right.
Milk is up 21%.
Yeah.
Vegetable tray up 23%. Miscellaneous ingredients 28%.
For vegetables, for something crappy like vegetables.
Dozen rolls is up 44%. Pie shells up 45%. Green peas, pass, 29% higher. Cubed stuffing.
That one doesn't even hurt because nobody eats peas. Nobody likes peas.
I know. 34% higher on that stuffing. Sweet potatoes up 15%. Potatoes up 40%.
15 or 50?
15.
15, okay.
And green beans up 33%. So
why would you pay more for green beans?
Why would
They're
you?
gross. You shouldn't be eating them anyway.
But see, he knows. Joe, we shouldn't question Joe.
No.
Because he shops online.
Yeah, right. Or does he? Because we didn't
get an answer.
We didn't get a straight answer from that.
My bad. I was too presumptuous.
I can't take it.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
What's the other
So
one?
everything's really, really good under this president. All right? And then he talked about the supply chain because none of us have ever heard about the supply chain.
Okay.
You look at an American and you say supply chain and they look at you with a blank stare because they don't know what you're talking about. Supply chain? What is that? What's that, Mr. Biden? Here's what he had to say.
When it comes down to supply chains, did you ever think we'd be talking this much about supply chains? No, but I'm serious. It's critical. Everybody's beginning to figure it out. The average person knows what we're talking about. We talk about supply chain.
I swear, this
There
guy.
we go. He did it again.
I am so proud of you, Joe, for learning what a supply chain was.
Yeah.
Once you were 75 years old. But that doesn't mean the rest of us just learned along with you. And every time he sees the phrase, it's like Pavlov's dog. He sees the term supply chain, and he has to tell us a story about how he just learned what a supply chain was.
And that nobody else knows. The rest of us have never heard of it. Supply chain? What? Is that like a new department store? Is it a vehicle from GM? Is it the new all-electric vehicle? Huh. What's a supply chain? It's amazing how stupid he thinks we are. Because he's that stupid.
He's that stupid.
And that compromised. Oh, man. All right, well.
Is this Biden or a Biden advisor talking about the economy here, Chris, on 23?
His advisor.
Oh,
Yeah,
one of his advisors.
Okay.
Go ahead and hit what the advisor has to say about the economy.
All right.
So look, I
look,
think if the question
they're
needs
about
to
to
be
lie.
not are those polls right or wrong. People are telling us how they feel. We have to look at two nuanced points. One, are we moving in a direction that will reach the American worker, the American consumer? Are real wages rising? Yes.
No.
Is the job market tight as it's ever been? Yes. Is inflation down 2/3 from its peak? Absolutely. Are prices coming down for gas, for airline tickets, for car rentals,
peak,
for eggs,
under this
for
guy,
groceries at the lowest inflation in 2 years? All of that is a yes. So we are moving in the right direction. We've got more work to do for it to reach average Americans, who, by the way, are telling us through their consumer behavior that they're feeling pretty good about their own financial conditions.
Oh, my gosh. Again. Yeah, we just showed you the credit card debt chart,
kidding.
which has surpassed $1 trillion. I mean, we're in trouble. If consumer debt is over $1 trillion just on credit cards, we're in big trouble. But yet again, they're telling us how we're doing. They know better than we do how we're doing.
I got to deduct points for him looking at his notes. However, that is grade A spin right there.
Tremendous spin.
We're down from its peak. It's down from its peak.
Which happened under them.
Bro.
And the 2/3 number is just flat wrong. That's just BS. That's crazy. Oh, my gosh. All right, there's a lot more. We'll get to it in a second here. First, we've all noticed that our society is so ravenous to abort babies. And so what we're fighting here is a spiritual battle. Don't mistake this for anything other than good versus evil. Preborn stands on the front lines of this battle, and their network of clinics are positioned in the highest abortion areas, a lot of times right next to Planned Parenthood or some other abortion mill where that unspeakable evil happens every single day. But Preborn offers women a different alternative. They show them the love of God for them. They introduce them to the baby through ultrasounds, and that makes such a big difference. In Texas, it used to be mandatory that if you wanted an abortion, first of all, you had to see the ultrasound. Why? Because that drives home the point that that's human life. It shows the expectant mother that's not just a clump of cells. That's an actual human baby inside of you. And so in Texas, I believe it was like 80% of the time they see the ultrasound, they choose life. And so it doubles the chances still today. To donate securely, $28 will buy that woman, will get her an ultrasound, and double the chance of life to take place. So please, if you can spare $28 or $1, maybe you can do the $5,000 that will be matched. We'll get into that on another time. But go to dial pound 250 first, and then use the keyword baby. That's pound 250 keyword baby, or you can go online, preborn.com/Pat. That's preborn.com/Pat.
That's right. That's right. Attaboy, Clarence.
Pat Gray.
Biden made another interesting observation yesterday about how a stinking MAGA Republicans.
Oh, no, what?
And now they want to cut internet. They want to cut the internet. I'm so tired of hearing that battle cry.
Yeah, that's not going to fly in the general.
Eliminate In the name of Donald Trump.
Right.
Eliminate the internet.
Yeah.
If I've heard that once.
Right. What?
But I haven't. So
gonna need a catchier chant though,
right?
Going into an election year.
I know it needs to rhyme.
No more web.
But see, here's the thing.
No more web.
Republicans, MAGA Republicans especially, aren't good at chanting. They're not good at rhyme.
But they're good at taking away things we love, right?
Thank you.
And
yes.
Joe picked up on that.
Yeah,
okay.
he did. And here's what he had to say.
Fortunately, we've been able to push back on MAGA Republicans so far, but they haven't given up. They haven't given up. They still want to undo this progress we're making.
Yeah.
They're proposing cuts in investments in roads, bridges, the internet, high-speed internet. The very things that provided from the anyway.
Provide for the anyway.
Old man lost.
They provide for the anyway?
Yeah, anyway.
What line item is anyway? What are we spending on anyway?
Okay. You want to be smart here, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The old man is warning us that there's going to be no roads if you elect MAGA Republicans.
No roads, no bridges, no infrastructure whatsoever. You know who else is hip to this stuff and what's going on with MAGA Republicans is Justin Trudeau up in Canada. He knows.
Okay.
He knows.
It's not a political debate in Canada.
Ukraine.
All parties in Canada stand with Ukraine.
Okay. Good. What about the internet?
So it is particularly troubling.
Yeah.
To see, even though we are seeing a rise, of right-wing rhetoric in the United States with MAGA conservatives, across Europe in certain corners of right-wing politicians and parties starting to pull their support for Ukraine, starting to parrot Russian disinformation and misinformation and propaganda, that suddenly the Conservative Party of Canada would choose to not stand with Ukraine in something that they need, that the Ukraine is asked for.
Yeah, it's not the Ukraine.
Right, that's disrespectful in of itself.
Yeah, that is. Because that's what Russia called them, because they wanted to minimize it being a country unto itself.
Yeah, I don't care for the foreigner up there, trying to drag our politics into his ineptitude.
Yeah, I mean, that's bizarre.
Yeah, a Cuban citizen like that. I'm sorry. Canadian Prime Minister.
How dare you?
It's weird that you confused him with Cuban.
When Cuba,
he's clearly
Canada,
Canadian.
Clearly,
yeah,
he's clearly 100% Canadian.
100%
doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you.
Right, that was the joke that I was letting fly kind of below the radar.
Yeah, but now it's above.
Thinking man's joke.
So you don't have to think. 888-933-93. More coming up.
Pat Gray Unleashed.
Pat Gray is here on the Blaze Radio Network.
Thank you for joining us as well. 888-933-93. Pat Unleashed on Twitter and Instagram. Of course, the ever-popular, highly anticipated Threads, which nobody can get enough of. Let's see. Let me tell you about real estate agents I trust for a minute, because if you're buying or selling a home, this is definitely the way to go. You need really good advice. And who's going to give you that advice? Somebody who knows what they're doing in the real estate market. Somebody who does it for a living. Somebody who's really committed to the process and has been successful and has a great marketing plan. And how do we know that about these agents? Well, because this is Glenn's company and his team fully vets them. And Glenn stays up till 2, 3 in the morning vetting these real estate agents. Sometimes 4 a.m. A lot 5. And I keep telling him, Glenn, you got to delegate some of this.
I'm glad somebody's telling him that.
Yeah, you got to delegate.
Because I mean, I think if I heard correctly once, his dining room table has got like all these apps, applications spread out,
and apps and all kinds of things on every realtor in America. It's amazing.
Well, I'm thankful for that because
me too.
I'm still friends with my real estate agents I trust.
Oh, that's great.
He gets me pies every year for Thanksgiving. I get
seriously, that's a nice connection. Yeah, and Is he a fan of the show?
He is a fan of this show.
It's beautiful.
This one.
That's
He
beautiful.
loves Pat Gray Unleashed.
All right.
Bring us a pie, bro.
So, Real Estate Agents I Trust. Turn to them. It's a free service we provide to you. There's nothing to lose at all. Go to realestateagentsitrust.com. realestateagentsitrust.com.
Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas, George! Merry Christmas, movie house! Merry Christmas, Emporium! Merry Christmas, you wonderful building and loan!
Pat Gray Unleashed.
Got some tweets here. Pat's Peanut Gallery tweets. Citizen credit debt reflects the U.S. debt. If the government doesn't pay their debt, why should I? It's true. I mean, people are of that mindset.
And with talk of bailouts for student loan.
Oh, yeah.
And a myriad of other government handouts. It's amazing that this society is still held together relatively. You know what I'm saying?
It shows the genius of our system,
right?
Doesn't it?
I guess. I don't know. I feel like we're a moment away from people going, you know what?
We are, but
still. Why am I paying my bills on time?
Yeah.
My neighbor doesn't, and the government takes care of him. This whole thing feels like it's on the precipice.
From Clinton Gore 24, the inconsistent messaging on the economy is understandable because the economy's been great for bureaucrats with guaranteed salaries and gold-plated health plans. Stryker 1B, Sleepy Joe would have trouble doing his Christmas shopping from a Sears catalog. People are going, now what?
What is a Sears catalog?
See,
Please
there's one of them.
Is that like the Yellow Pages?
No.
You call a number and then Sears brings up to you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Got it.
Malicious meanderer. What KJP didn't say. We know this election will be rigged, just like the last one, so there's no need to change anything about what the administration is doing strategy-wise.
Truth hurts.
The Sniper BBB, turkey. I made cheesecake for Thanksgiving. That ain't getting any cheaper. Mm-hmm. You know what else isn't getting cheaper? Kale.
What?
Yeah.
Don't
kale.
Do this. Don't do this.
Chris did a little investigating because kale is such an important element to me.
You have a recipe
I have
on YouTube.
The recipe that was popular on YouTube for
Still
we'll
is.
have to update that. But the kale price back in 2019, 71 cents per pound of kale. 71 cents. In 2023, right now, the price of kale, $2.91 per pound. You might recognize that as quadruple the price.
Wow.
Huh.
Wow.
Huh.
So it sounds like
Bidenomics work.
In a roundabout way, give credit where credit is due. Joe Biden is making something that's not edible.
Right.
He's making it more expensive, and so it's discouraging economic behavior.
And thank you, Joe. Thank you for that. And I will say this. I mentioned the cookies and the butter and all that. Kexi cookies are kale-free since 2020.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's good.
Completely kale-free. And speaking of those cookies, our Christmas cookies have been released early this year. We've got one of our most popular cookies of all time, the cinnamon roll cookie. You haven't lived until you've eaten one of these. Oh my gosh, they're good. One of our most popular of all time, so that's available now. The peppermint Oreo and what we call the polar bear because it's mixed with peanut butter and vanilla baking chips and topped with our homemade caramel, vanilla frosting, and peanuts. You haven't lived until you've tried that one either. So Kexi.com is where you can get those. KEKSI.com. Now, back to the wonderful economy.
Yeah.
There's so many great things that are happening because of this administration. Look at the gas prices, for instance. So low. The lowest in like a year. How old were you a year ago? I can't even remember back that far. I think I was 4, but I might have been even younger than that. I'm not sure. So thank you again, Joe Biden. Thank you for the kale. Thank you for the gas prices. And thank you for limiting the way we can get gas in this country. There's no reason for Americans to be working to extract oil from the ground. That should be left to others. We're above that. So don't be drilling for oil in this country. You know, we'd be in danger, like we were during Trump, of becoming energy independent. You don't want that. You don't want that. Because when you're independent, what does that mean? That means you're lonely. That means there's nobody around you.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're saving us from loneliness here, which I appreciate a great deal.
That is good.
And I appreciate our neighbors to the north, where a lot of our oil comes from, actually. They extract it and send it to us. So thank you, Canadians. And then we've got Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, we played him.
Played his bull crap. Now we've got Rishi Sunak.
Well, yeah, this is he's getting a bunch of flack over in Britain for, I guess, the way he was holding a hammer. And he was showing off his handyman skills. So if you can see if you see anything wrong with the way Rishi is hammering here.
Okay.
Quite a challenge for Rishi Sunak, who is the fifth Conservative Prime Minister.
He's never held a hammer in his life.
Never held a hammer in his life. If you're listening, he's holding it sideways to hammer in, which I guess on occasion you could do if you're,
quite a challenge.
Okay, but you don't need to do it because, that hammer has got an actual square head. That should be simple, right? So somebody made a nice little video to show
his skills.
Compare Rishi to another individual's hammering skills.
Okay.
Which poses quite a challenge for Rishi Sunak, who is the fifth Conservative Prime Minister this decade.
It's a baby.
Yes, sir.
Hammering a nail.
Look at that! Is that real or is that CGI?
That's real. Of course it's real. It's like a
Rishi Sunak.
I don't know. I think it could be CGI.
Oh, shut up.
I see what you mean. I think it's CGI.
Oh, stop it.
Oh, yeah. The way he's holding that hammer.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's CGI.
Oh, yeah. And then
That's
the dad, just to make sure it was authentic sounding, dubbed in his voice in the background.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You got me.
Look at my kid. That's great.
That's an awesome kid, though.
Yeah.
How old was
That's
that kid, you
impressive.
think? Like,
I think
maybe
2?
Maybe at the most.
Yeah, maybe. 9, yeah.
Show me the baby again. Look at that.
Yes, sir.
That's a small kid.
That's like 1 and a half.
That's barely a toddler, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to give my son a hammer, see what
that kid has more skills in the garage than I do.
Oh, by far. By far.
Never mind Rishi Sunak.
Yeah.
Keith Malinak comparison.
I mean, here I am laughing at Rishi when he probably did a better job than I would do.
Yeah, I'd hit my thumb.
But good for that baby.
Good job, kid.
When was he started on hammering? You got to wonder, right? Because he's already really proficient at it. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing.
Whenever I hear the word hammering, now I just think of Lawrence over on MSNBC.
Oh, stop
the hammering.
Stop the hammering. I don't know if we have that anymore.
Oh, shoot. That's
but
too
there's
bad.
the kid.
Look at that kid.
That's adorable and incredible. All in one fell swoop.
Mm-hmm.
And you're welcome. Our president certainly couldn't hammer that way either. I mean, here we are making fun of Sunak when Biden... I'd love to see him try to hammer a nail into a piece of wood.
I'd like to see him pick up a hammer.
Did you see? Yeah. Did you see the comments of Ronnie Jackson, who was a doctor to 3 former presidents, and
in Congress now, right?
Yeah, he's in Congress now. But unlike Joe Biden's present physician, he's telling the truth. He just said that this guy clearly is unfit for this office. He can't do it. He told Sunday Morning Futures guest anchor Sean Duffy that the situation with Biden's decline is happening quickly. This was the physician for George W. Bush, Barack Obama, and Donald Trump. And he has said that in 2018, following calls from Democrats in the mainstream media, he gave President Trump a cognitive test. Everybody was saying, this guy's cognitively declining. Is he really? And where are you now with Joe Biden? But because he gave him a cognitive test, he says the president is set. This president should be doing it. He should take a cognitive test, and he won't. He actually sent him one in February of last year, calling him to do what Trump had done, and he's just been ignored.
So, honestly, though, let's think of any job that you think Joe Biden is qualified for, what job could you give him and you could walk away and be like,
yeah, I'm confident he's going to be able to do that.
Yeah. I don't even, honestly, I don't think he could handle, and this is no dig at Walmart greeters, I don't think he could handle that for various reasons. One, because too many little kids walk by within sniffing range, for one.
There's too much standing involved.
Is standing involved?
Yeah, and he couldn't do it.
And you don't have to do it anymore, but remember when you used to come in and you'd be returning something and they'd put a little sticker on it or something?
Yeah.
He'd screw that up.
Oh, yeah, he couldn't. He
wouldn't be able to hand out balloons and stuff. Like, yeah, come here, little kid.
I've never had a Walmart greeter offer me a balloon.
Yeah, a couple times.
Really?
Yeah, there's some special thing going on or whatever.
Okay.
But
then you got to carry a balloon around the store.
But don't lose sight of the point I'm making here.
What is the point you're making?
The point is that Joe Biden sucks at everything. You can't trust him with writing his initials on a receipt.
Yeah, but what about what he's done for us on the kale front? He's made it out of reach for most Americans, and I appreciate that a lot.
That's good. Because, you know, if
it's inedible, people shouldn't be trying to eat it.
So now, because you remember during the Obama administration, you would always say, hey, look, I can say one nice thing about Barack Obama. And it's whenever you would play him singing.
Yes,
was it the Marvin Gaye?
It was the Al Green song.
Yeah. So you're like, hey, since, Mama said, if you can't say something nice about somebody, don't say anything at all. Well, we always had the Obama singing clip to play.
Mexico, lindo y querido, sin.
This is a different one.
I've never heard this. What is he saying?
Dormido.
What does he say?
Torpedo. I got that. He's talking about submarines and torpedoes.
Lindo y querido. Tan tan.
We now turn to our international language expert.
Bro?
He's talking about guys sleeping. Querido is guy, and not torpedo. He said dormido.
Oh, dormido.
Did he say I'm a Marxist plant in the White House? Just wait until my third term when I'm hiding behind Joe Biden?
Yes.
Is that the lyrics?
Yes.
No, okay.
It's taken me longer to destroy the country than I anticipated.
I needed a third term, yeah.
So now this is my third term, and I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get it done.
Yeah. Okay. So now we have something, because it took us almost 3 full years, Pat, to come up with something to compliment Joe Biden on. And now we will always have, thank you for making kale.
Too expensive.
Less affordable.
Yeah, putting it out of the reach of most Americans. I mean, maybe Elon Musk can afford a pound of kale, but not the rest of us.
No, sir.
Not the rest of us. Just came across a poll, speaking of Obama's. Did you see this poll where Biden loses, or he beats every single Democrat who would potentially challenge him, except one? And do you know who the one is? According to these polls.
Well,
these hypothetical
feels like
polls.
It's Michelle Obama.
It does feel that way because it is that way. Michelle is the only one. I mean, he's like 20 points at least, 30 points, 40 points ahead of all other potential contenders. He loses by 2 percentage points to Michelle Obama. I don't understand her popularity, but it continues. I mean, does anybody remember what she said about America after her husband got the nomination?
Let me tell you something. For the first time in my adult life, I am proud of my country.
I mean, that's amazing. Yes. You haven't been proud of your country until your husband got the nomination. That's unreal. She is an America hater. Remember this line.
Stereotypes and misconceptions. It makes you feel justified in your ignorance. That's America.
That's America. We feel justified in our ignorance. Ugh. She hates America.
Yeah.
How is it possible that America loves her back? It's so weird. I'm not saying we should hate her, but come on. She's a nightmare. So I'm just very hopeful that she continues to not seek any political office, because she'd win it. She'd win it. I think she'd beat any Republican. And that's frightening. Really, really frightening.
Big Mike.
Big Mike.
2024.
Big Mike 2020. That'd be a great campaign slogan.
That'd be a great campaign slogan.
Vote Big Mike in 2024. It's great. All right. It's clear that the unthinkable is here. Our most trusted institutions now deceive us boldly every single day. Something's clearly wrong right now. Time is short to become more self-reliant and secure the future for yourself and your family. Act today with My Patriot Supply. It's the country's largest preparedness company. They're more than equipped to stock your shelves. Their best-selling 3-month emergency food kit provides delicious breakfast, lunch, dinners that last up to 25 years in storage. And right now, you can get $200 off. Such a great way to get prepared. It'd be really hard to go to the grocery store and just buy extra things every time you go shopping. Nobody ever does that. You can take care of it in one fell swoop at My Patriot Supply. This will provide you with 2,000 calories a day to survive in whatever crisis has occurred. And 3 months should be enough time to get society back on its feet. If it's not, then we're all screwed. So go now to preparewithpat.com. That's my website. Go to preparewithpat.com. You'll get $200 off right now. Be sure to order by 3 o'clock this afternoon, and your order will ship that same day for free. It's best to have emergency food and not need it than to need it and not have it. So take $200 off at preparewithpat.com, preparewithpat.com.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.
Love the fact that this is the second longest Christmas season that's possible. Thanksgiving can only occur one day prior to what it did occur this year. So, second longest ever.
I'm in the same mindset, man.
Yeah, it's so great.
Except for 70 degrees next week here in Dallas.
Is it really going to be? Hate that. I hate that.
Me too.
Nice cool week, though, this week. 50s for the high, which proves there is no global warming. So,
but next week, 70 degrees will prove that there is.
There is, yeah, because it's unseasonably. Actually, that's probably about where it normally is this time of year in Dallas, Texas.
Feels like weather weirding, if you ask me.
Exactly right. Thank you, Keith.
Yeah.
That's a fine observation. Also, coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to talk to Hilary Kennedy, and you don't want to miss that. That's she's got some interesting information about many things, but one, Conor McGregor. I miss him in the UFC. But we'll get into that coming up in a few minutes. You remember last week or the week before, Sheila Jackson Lee had this moment where she showed who she really is with one of her staffers.
Yeah, audio leaked out.
Yeah, here's what happened.
That you took a piece of paper from that woman regarding something that was over at Duncan Tail. Where is it? What date was it?
Oh, from yesterday. Jerome took it upstairs.
Jerome took it upstairs.
When I switched out the pictures. I'll call him as soon as you get there.
I don't want you to do a thing. I want you to have a brain. I want you to have read it. I want you to say, Congresswoman, it was such and such date. That's what I want. That's the kind of staff that I want to have. So some stupid other mother did it, and I don't have
so
the
now
information.
she's talking about Jerome.
I need to ensure my schedule, and if Boo Boo did it, ass did it, face did it, and nobody knows a thing in my office. Okay, nothing. I gave it to you. Your job was to get it on the calendar, imprint it in your brain, or send me the information back saying, Congresswoman, I made sure that the Ovi Duncan Tell event that you gave me for so-and-so date at 7 is on the calendar. Not to, Jerome has it. Okay? So when I called Jerome, he's going to be sitting up there like a fat-ass, stupid idiot talking about what he doesn't know. Okay? Both of y'all are up the F.
Wow.
It's the worst that I could have ever had put together.
What a kind soul.
Two big-ass children. Idiots. Serve no purpose.
You serve
ain't
no
managing
purpose.
Nobody's respecting them. Nobody gives a about what you're doing.
Oh, speaking of respect, she's treating these people with respect, isn't she? That's great.
I gave it to Jerome. This is not child's work. Okay?
Okay.
Do we have an update on Jerome?
Yeah, we do. Jerome Brooks committed suicide 8 days after this tape. Now, it doesn't mean he committed suicide because of this dressing down.
Sure didn't help.
But it didn't help anything. She called him a fat-ass, stupid idiot. stating he was an F-up, served no purpose. Jeez, man.
And don't forget, Houston, she's running to be your next mayor.
Your next mayor
Maybe
of
you
Houston,
could ask
Texas.
her about Jerome. Does she have any comments about Jerome Brooks? Or
Nobody will ask her. No one will ask her. On the one hand, it would be great for the rest of the country to have Sheila Jackson Lee out of office. Yes. On the other hand, I really feel for Houston, Texas, because she's probably going to win. What a nightmare she is.
Yep.
Speaking of administration officials and people in government in high places, kind of interesting, the education secretary was talking about how the government is really helpful and that they're doing the things that they should.
Aren't they, though?
And, man, he's had a point here.
Okay.
When Miguel Cardona, Miguel Cardona, the education secretary, said this.
You know, we're going to set up follow-up calls with every governor we met with to make sure we're available. As I think it was President Reagan said, we're from the government. We're here to help.
Okay, yeah. He did say that.
No.
A lot of people would be surprised that small government Ronald Reagan would say, we're from the government, we're here to help.
No.
But just a little reminder.
The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
Okay. So
he just is bipartisanship.
Yeah.
By showing that he could quote a Republican.
How amazing is that? That doesn't, even when he says it, that doesn't seem antithetical to you that Ronald Reagan would say something like that? You don't think, well, wait a minute, maybe that happened in a different context, or maybe it wasn't him that said. That's why I thought one of the best lines in response to his statement was that he is the lack of education secretary, Miguel Cardona. These are the people in charge.
Yep.
All right, we'll talk to Hilary Kennedy from 4 Minute Buzz next.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.
And thanks for joining us. 888-900-3393, joined by Hilary Kennedy from the 4 Minute Buzz and HilaryKennedy.com. Welcome.
Thank you for having me back in.
Thanks for coming in early today. So what do you have for us?
Well, okay, so I think we can all agree that teachers are underpaid, right? I mean, there's been a crisis throughout the country this year that we have a teacher shortage, especially in states like Missouri. They've been hit incredibly hard with having a teacher shortage. So some of the teachers are finding ways to supplement their income. Like Brianna Coppage, she's 28 years old.
Oh, no.
She's a Missouri teacher who was placed on leave after they found out that she was running an OnlyFans page with her husband. She's now resigned to devote her time to porn. She said, I don't want to fight the school district. I'm just ready for peace. I knew nothing was ever going to be the same if I went back, so this was just the best option. So she was a freshman and sophomore English teacher. She told Fox News that she made close to $1 million selling adult content on OnlyFans.
Oh, wow. In how long a period of time?
She just started her account over the summer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. She said, I have tens of thousands of fans now. I've far exceeded my teacher salary for the year.
No.
So Fox News looked into it. She was making about $42,000 a year as a teacher.
So this is more.
We're seeing this over and over and over, too.
Seems like it might be more.
We're seeing this a lot with teachers who are getting fired or being discovered running these side sites. I like to think of a lot of it as digital pornography, because that's essentially what it is.
Wow. Listen to you.
We've got a lot of celebrities or pseudo-celebrities that are jumping on the bandwagon, too. This made news a couple weeks ago. Carol Alt. Do you guys remember her? She was a supermodel.
Sounds familiar.
Really beautiful woman. She's 62 now. But she said she's ready to own her own image, and so she is doing this by joining OnlyFans.
Oh, man.
So after
44
years of working, she says, I don't own one of my photos. So when people say, do you have a photo I can use? She said, I have to go ask for permission from someone else. So I'm taking control of my image by joining OnlyFans. And she says she's doing tastefully done nude photos.
Oh, okay. Tasteful. If it's
art.
tasteful,
It's
then
art.
yeah.
It just becomes art.
Yeah.
then-
I'd be concerned that it wouldn't be tasteful. So I'm really comforted that she's doing it tastefully.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
And I
makes
think
it better.
a lot of these celebrities that were really big in the 70s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s are trying to capitalize on having an OnlyFans and capture the nostalgia. And, a lot of young men, that was like their dream girl back in the day. So Carmen Electra, Donna D'Errico, some of these women that were on Baywatch, they've started an OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's nostalgia that they're after. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more like a quick paycheck.
Well, if in a few months you can make $1 million, that's quite alluring.
Yes.
To many.
Well, and it's not just celebrities too. So this segues into my love of UFC. But there is a UFC fighter, Eileen Perez. She's new to the UFC, so she's only had about 3 professional fights. But she fought the other night, and she did a sort of celebratory twerking dance in the ring. And I think we have a clip of that, so we'll play it. You can see her. She's got her legs up against the cage.
No, honey.
Her hands on the ground.
No.
Not flat.
So...
No.
Look at my butt.
Nobody wants to see that.
She did it right in front of the commentators. So she had her backside completely facing the commentators. But she said she planned to celebrate that way if she won. She said, we practiced it because I wanted to do something different. And she said, it's one of the most common videos that my OnlyFans subscribers
Hold on. She practiced moving her butt up and down against a fence?
Yes.
That takes practice?
It's very
I
difficult,
guess so.
Keith.
I mean, have you tried it?
Have you ever tried to twerk up against a fence?
Shoot, I just don't have room in
No,
there.
there's no room there.
Well, she said that she made $30,000 on her OnlyFans page after that.
Jeez.
Which trumps what she made winning that fight. She got paid $24,000, but she made more on her OnlyFans after doing that little dance.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
So she said, I take advantage of OnlyFans because that's where I'm making my money. She said, I was able to buy a car. And she said, anyone who wants to check out my OnlyFans, it's free. And my OnlyFans is not pornography.
No.
It is art.
See, what
a
did
great
I
point.
just say?
It's tastefully done, right? She did it. I mean, that was a tasteful twerk, if ever I've seen one.
Yeah, that fence was like, whoa, look at all this art in my face.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, there was
I think the fence was confused. Is this like
part of the match?
Is this Michelangelo, or is it a UFC fighter twerking right now?
Yeah.
Tough to tell.
It's hard to tell. Yeah.
Well, you may remember there was a UFC star. Her name was Paige Van Zant. So she was in the MMA industry for 6 years. She said that she made more money in 24 hours on OnlyFans than she did during the entire span of her career.
Man, oh man.
So
tells you where we are
Yes.
as a society and civilization, doesn't it?
100%. So while we're on the topic of UFC, so we'll stop talking about digital prostitution.
No, I wish Jeffrey were here. I want to ask him. Because, we have streaming services, right? And they nickel and dime us to death because you end up getting all these different services.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask Jeffy, maybe we'll have to do this tomorrow, how many OnlyFans memberships do you have? Because after a certain point, right, then it's just like, man, this becomes unsustainable.
Cost prohibitive, yeah.
Because how much do those cost?
So it depends. Like Paige Van Zant, she calls herself the queen of OnlyFans. And if you've ever seen her, she is actually a very beautiful woman. Because let's be honest, some of these chicks on OnlyFans.
All I've seen of her is...
they're masculine.
They're a little rough.
Her backside up against a fence.
But Paige Van Zant is actually very beautiful.
Okay.
Now, Chris Cruz said he looked at Eileen Perez online and was like, meh.
Nah.
No?
Not worth the $25.
Okay.
25?
Like a year or a month?
Bro.
A month? Wow.
So Paige Van Zant charges
Nope.
I don't want to hear about the economy sucking. If people are retiring off of OnlyFans accounts, stop.
Now, how much is Paige Van Zant charging?
Hers is only $9.99 per month. And she
Wow.
said she described her initial content as PG. This is how it starts. They all decide, I'm going to post some pictures of me in a
But then
bikini.
people demand more, right?
And she said she's now switched to more X-rated content.
Sure.
Because that's the only
But
way to get
is
people
it
to stick
tasteful, though?
around.
I hope it's tasteful.
It's just art. Just beautiful art.
Jeez.
Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
But yeah, while we're talking about UFC, my boy Conor McGregor He's been back in the news.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he called the Irish Prime Minister a disgrace for describing a 9-year-old, her name was Emily Hand, as having been lost and then found instead of the horror she actually faced at the hands of Hamas terrorists when she was taken on October 7th. So McGregor
so many people are sugarcoating all of that.
Yes.
And just doing the PR work for Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable.
Well, and he was not having any of it. He said she was abducted by an evil terrorist organization. He wrote this on X, formerly known as Twitter. He said, "What is with you and your government and your paid-for media affiliates constantly downplaying or attempting to repress horrific acts that happen to children? You are a disgrace." And then he said, the day after a stabbing of children in Ireland, not one paper had it on their front cover.
Wow.
And he said, "We will not forget."
And these children that you're referring to being stabbed in Ireland were at the hands of, I believe, a man from Algeria, right? It was an immigrant.
Yeah.
An immigrant?
So authorities, they haven't confirmed complete, but there was a stabbing that was carried out by an illegal immigrant, and that's ultimately what sparked a bunch of riots and disorder. There was a mob of about 500 people that
Ireland
went through
is done.
Dublin.
They're done with this crap.
Yes.
They've been importing hundreds of thousands of illegals, right?
Yes. And he actually, I don't have the tweet written down here, but he actually tweeted again last night, basically saying that their prime minister has told all these communities, you have no choice but to accept these asylum seekers. This is happening. And the Irish people have said, oh, I don't think so.
Yeah,
and they're setting up their own checkpoints.
Good for them.
Yep.
Good.
And not letting people in. And
Kicking
McGregor
people out
said,
of their houses, right?
yeah, and he said what we want is transparency. He was like, because when you aren't transparent about what's going on, he said, there's fear, there's panic, there's unrest. He said, can't we come to our senses here? Because
Answer's no, you can't.
yeah,
We can't.
Ireland's been, I mean, I think I can't remember the exact numbers, but it has more than tripled, I think, the number of immigrants that have come into their country, many of them from Ukraine.
That island is going to literally capsize.
Yes. And so the Irish people are upset. And what's interesting, when I was doing the research on it, almost every mainstream media outlet described what's going on in Ireland as a problem with right-wing extremists
Of
or
course.
far-right extremists.
Yeah.
And it's people that just don't want their country invaded by
No.
anyone and everyone.
This is the WEF global plan. They want to third worldify every Western nation.
And they're doing a really good job of it.
Sink it to the bottom
That's
through
the problem.
welfare and chaos.
Well, it's nice to see someone like Connor use his platform
Yeah.
for good and try to encourage the Irish people to fight back and say enough is enough.
And isn't there speculation he's going to run for office?
He's kind of alluded to if their government can't kind of clean things up and be transparent with the people, he may need to step in.
He
and
says he's going to do something about
I'm
it.
here for it.
As popular as he is, he just might win.
He could win, yeah. I agree. I would love to see that. And
I mean,
his fighting career, it's been on the downhill for a while, and so it might be interesting to see him try his
is he
hand
still
at some
fighting? Does
politics.
he have anything lined up?
He does. He's been training. He keeps asking for fights. They've been sort of reluctant because he's lost a couple of times in a row.
But does he have an OnlyFans?
Well, I mean,
Good question.
Yeah.
And if
don't
he
know how
does,
into art
is
he
it
is.
tasteful?
Right.
'Cause
How much do you think a monthly subscription to a Conor McGregor OnlyFans?
OnlyFans. I mean,
Don't answer it.
I'd have to figure out my budget.
I'm
Just kidding.
just trying to keep you out of answering that.
All right, we'll be looking for
Just
you
kidding.
on the 4-minute buzz coming up in just a few minutes.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for coming. iTarget Pro. You know, there's a lot to be nervous about right now. Open social media, for instance, or turn on the news, or do both. You'll see crime, you'll see societal decay, like we just discussed. A lot of people just run out and buy a gun as a result, and then it sits in a safe, and they never do anything with it. If there's ever an emergency, in that scenario, you're just not prepared, and you run the risk of hurting yourself or somebody else that you don't intend to hurt. No way around it. You need to train, and you need to train often. Unfortunately, it's time-consuming, and it's really expensive. Even if you can find the ammo, the prices are through the roof right now. Well, iTarget Pro was invented so that you could practice anytime in the safety and convenience of your own home. Just download the iTarget Pro app, load your caliber-specific laser bullet, which they send to you, into your firearm, and then you start training. You can practice alone. You can practice with friends. You can use it to safely train your children because there's no live ammo involved. Go to itargetpro.com right now. Get 10% off at checkout when you use the offer code PAT. Smartest, safest way to train. Pays for itself in if you're to visit the range in one of those. So get yours today. That's the letter I, then targetpro.com. itargetpro.com. Offer code PAT.
Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.
So Conor McGregor, who knows what that means? His cryptic message about, I'm going to do something about it. So
we'll see. I don't know what you're going to do, but I'm glad he stood up for Israel. That's awesome.
Yeah,
good for him.
That's good. And speaking though of if he does run for office, I looked this up because I've started to piece together a pattern of what's happening in elections around the world. Is since 2009, Ireland went back to paper ballots.
Did they?
So I have a feeling that he could win.
Yeah.
If he were to run.
Yeah. It's been amazing to see the conservatives winning in some of these international elections. We had the Venezuelan situation where that guy who's always described as a Trump-like figure because he's very, very outspoken. Argentina, yeah, not Venezuela. Venezuela doesn't hold democratic elections.
Right.
So that guy won.
Yeah, and you know how many ballots they had to count there in Argentina?
How many?
Let's see here. Where did it go? I had a.
Was it more than 12?
Yeah, it was somewhere near 30 million paper ballots, and they were counted by hand.
Okay.
And the Libertarian won there.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How long did it take? Isn't the vote still going on right now?
Same day.
Like 2 weeks.
Same day,
right?
Pat. Same day, Pat. What else?
Wow.
There was another election recently, right?
Yeah, in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Where Geert Wilders shockingly won the Dutch election.
Yep. Again, another paper ballot country.
That's amazing.
Are you sensing a pattern here?
Yeah. People are fed up.
And also, paper ballots, you get the conservative in, as opposed to the voting machines that have been proven can be manipulated, where you never seem to get a conservative win those races. In fact, just for fun, after I pieced this together and saw, hey, these conservatives are winning in these international elections because Europe has just absolutely had it. And Argentina is upset for their own reasons down in South America. But I was looking up, I just had to do this. I printed up how our states count. Arizona, optical scan. Georgia, optical scan. Michigan, optical scan. I'm just picking out random states, by the way. This has nothing to do. Nevada, optical scan. Pennsylvania, optical scan. Wisconsin. Oh, they do some hand counts, but they do optical scans in larger cities. I don't know. I just picked out a half a dozen random states, 2020. Anyway, so it's amazing the results you can get, though, when you have paper ballots. And,
And everything's fair.
Everything's fair, yeah.
It's done the right way. Well, Geert Wilders has received countless death threats.
I bet he has.
Been under police protection for almost 2 decades. He's been convicted for inciting hate speech.
Oh, there we go.
His opinions once even got him banned from entering the UK. He's known as the Dutch Donald Trump, and what's fascinating about the Netherlands is that they punch above their weight.
They do. They do.
And so we've got that going for him. They've got that going for him. And his PVV Freedom Party won the majority, the major victory in the country's general elections. So it's they call it far right.
Yes.
PVV Freedom Party. They beat all the predictions. They won 37 seats out of the 150 available. So now they're faced with the proposition of forming a government because
I don't get it.
It's a parliamentary form of government, and nobody understands it. Even the people who have it don't understand it.
But it's time for an election. We just had one.
Yeah.
Back to the polls with you.
Yeah, but I mean, how many elections do these countries have? Was it Israel that did like 5 in a row or something in less than a year?
That was something else.
Crazy.
But yeah, you mentioned the Argentina guy while we were away for Thanksgiving.
His fans even call him the madman.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Javier.
That's great.
Is it Milei? How do you pronounce that?
I think it's Milei, yeah.
Milei. Okay. I like him. I like him a lot. And by the way, he is going to, he's already said he's moving the Argentinian embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, much like Trump did.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't that? Yeah, he's definitely a friend of Israel. He has been
That's awesome.
Very supportive. And, in Argentina, where we talked about the 30 million ballots, somebody posted this. I love this account in Wokeness. Maricopa County, 1.9 million ballots. Milwaukee, 460,000 ballots. Detroit, 250,000. Fulton County, that's Georgia, 523,000 ballots. Remember, those were machines that couldn't come up with a count quickly. 30 million hand count, Argentina. Got those results real quick.
Yeah.
It's amazing how that happens.
Isn't it, though? Isn't that amazing? Also amazing is, as everybody else on the planet, it feels like, anyway, is trying to destroy and move away from the U.S. dollar.
Right.
What he wants to do is replace the peso with the U.S. dollar.
That is amazing. Thank you.
How about that?
Thank you. We need a friend. Thank you.
Wow. He's repeatedly said that the only way to end the scourge of inflation, which is 140% in Argentina. We were crying about, and we should, we're the United States, but we were pissed off when it was 9%. Theirs is 140%. Wow. But he wants to prevent politicians from continuing to print money. What a concept that is. So he plans to do away with the central bank. He was standing at like a board, and it had a bunch of names of the agencies that are part of the government, and he was grabbing them and pulling them off and saying, out.
I love it.
Out.
I got news for him, though. If he doesn't like fiat currencies, he may not want to peg to the U.S. dollar, but who am I?
Who are you?
Yeah, and so they booked him on shows just because he was outrageous, and they were just wouldn't take him seriously, and
it worked.
And that exposure to the people really did resonate, and they loved him enough to elect him president. I love Joey Manorino compiled some of these quotes from Javier. See if you like these. Pope Francis he calls a filthy leftist. He says that, quote, redistributing wealth is a violent act, end quote. I agree.
Wow, okay.
He's called climate change a lie of socialism.
Right.
Quote.
Wow.
His governing philosophy is that, quote, you can't... Oh, I should have proofread this a little bit closer. You can't give a blank... or you can't give blank leftists an inch. He pledges to end the Central Bank of Argentina, as you alluded to. And his view on China is that he doesn't cut deals with communists. His views on abortion is when you construct on the basis of an incorrect moral principle, the result is filth. Yeah, and he goes on to talk about life and liberty. He's like, I thought liberals were for defending life.
Wow.
What did he call the Pope?
A filthy leftist.
Interesting, because the Pope sent him a rosary on November 24
I'm sure
for congratulating him to win.
Well, that's because he's, so open-minded, so wonderful. Yeah,
okay.
That's
and
why.
Plus, filthy leftists like to give things away.
It was blessed by the Holy Father.
That's good.
Wow.
I can't wait to see this ride for Argentina, and I hope it is a success story. I hope 4 years
let
from
it
now,
be successful.
we're sitting here praising the rebirth of Argentina.
Well, it sounds like he's on the right track. Sounds like he's going to do the things. I mean, if he really does and sticks to it, unlike most politicians, it probably will go well in Argentina, especially if they peg their economy to the U.S. dollar, because that is as solid as it gets.
That's a slam dunk,
right?
man.
Yeah. Backed by the full faith and credit of the U.S. government.
Yeah, we're there to hold your hand through this transition.
Now, our government doesn't have any idea how many Americans, for instance, are being held hostage by Hamas. They don't know the number. They don't know when they'll be released. They don't know if they'll be released. But you know what? It's fine because they're being treated like gold. So a lot of these hostages that have been released already didn't even want to be released. They were having such a good time in the Gaza Strip. Yeah, didn't even want to. They begged to stay and live with Hamas. Hamas's official spokesperson, Hisham Qasem, just claimed that they kidnapped these foreign nationals for their own safety. They were so endangered by the Israelis. And, there's no safer place on earth than the Gaza Strip right now. Am I right? It's really sweet of Hamas to look out for others this way. And obviously, we've seen how serene and beautiful things are in Gaza, so I'm guessing the hostages are really grateful for the experience.
Yeah, they waved and smiled when they were
waved
leaving.
and smiled, which, the Zionists all hated. But they proved what wonderful people they are. The BBC reporter, well, we'll have to save this for tomorrow because the BBC reporter that reported the hospital attack and how it flattened the hospital and so many hundreds of people were murdered by the Israelis. He's obviously been questioned even by the BBC, his own company, for all of his misinformation.
This is Pat Gray Unleashed.
But he doesn't care.